Hey everyone, off the Mike Sports Network here. Another edition of Off the Top Rope. Listen, if you're mad that I'm going to be throwing spoilers at you in regards to Grand Slam Australia, grow up. It's the internet. It's 2025. This is all on AEW for completely failing in regards to what was supposed to be a pay-per-view and then gaslighting their audience and saying, "Oh yeah, this was always supposed to be an exclusive special." Well, then why did you put it on the same day as, you know, the NBA All-Star Weekend, even though the NBA All-Star Weekend is not what it used to be, but still it's going to be watched by a lot of people because people still do tune in for the NBA. Um, the other thing that I really didn't get was WWE has been doing this on streaming platforms, international events. They even did one in Australia in a stadium a year ago, and they were able to figure out, hey, how can we get this live streaming on a streaming platform at Peacock? I don't understand why they couldn't figure this out with Max. So this was a complete failure. Like, call this what it is. Yes, it's nice that they got 10,000 people. They were shielding up. Hey, they overcharged for the gate. They're going to go back there in a year and hopefully they get this right. But this was a complete failure by AEW. But then you talk about the event itself in terms of the results. AEW failed a massive test and in a lot of different respects because, for one, I don't understand, the Death Riders getting a win in the Brisbane Brawl over Adam Copeland, who's literally challenging for the world title. I didn't see the match, but I'm just looking based off results because this is, I'll maybe faintly, if, one of these things, I may watch the Tony Storm Mariah May match because Tony getting her moment in front of her home country was very cool. So I'll honestly want to watch it. But, you know, why can't Adam Copeland pin Claudio in that match? Why can't you get like some, like, I don't, the Death Riders thing is just not made any sense for me. But the biggest failure and the biggest test that AEW failed, which was not shocking in my opinion, is them not strapping the rocket to Harley Cameron and just going with it and giving her a moment in her home country. I understand that you would have had two title changes for the women. Listen, there are so many other ways than having Mercedes Moné win that match. Like, and some people have been trying to, backtrack saying, yeah, it didn't really make a lot of sense because it's on a 21 and a half hour delay. And, first of all, that is completely on AEW. The fact that, we're doing title changes on a show that's on significant tape delay. I said that off the top. They could have easily figured out a way to make this somewhat accessible. For God's sake, like, people were up WWE watching at 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, watching Elimination Chamber last year because it was in Perth, Australia. And you mean to tell me that AEW couldn't have figured that out? So that was the other thing. But in regards to a big failure, a big test that they failed here, a lot of people have been arguing in the favor of, Mercedes winning this match and saying, well, Harley Cameron's only won one match in her AEW career. Wait a second. Hold on. Didn't everybody want the Outrunners to be the tag team champions, and they literally won their first match like a month before and just got massively over with the audience, and they didn't do anything? Like, this isn't shocking that Tony Khan didn't take a bold risk and do something crazy and outside of the box to try and light a fire underneath his company, because he's a mark. And he's always going to side with the talent that, he's paying more money with because that's the investment. But that being said, the investment that he has made in Mercedes Moné, and I've said this a lot on this channel, it has not netted any benefit or any, positives really for the women's division. But yes, I understand that Harley Cameron has one winner, but you've seen in video packages, she's doing ventriloquism with puppets, and she's rapping, she's singing, she's gotten a lot better in the ring. Her gimmick has really gotten over and resonated with the fans. Why not give her a moment and give her a win in her home country? Why have Mercedes beat her? And obviously, I don't know the context of how if it was a fluky finish or whatnot, but I would imagine Mercedes went over clean in this match. And I don't know if you're going to ever have a better opportunity to really, put over a star and have this title run, which has been a flop by Mercedes. Yeah, she's going to probably be one of the longest reigning champions in AEW's history. but nobody cares about her. The fans are audibly quiet for her entrance. A lot of her gimmick is cringe. And literally, like I said, everybody is like, okay, Sasha Banks was cool. This is like a take on Sasha Banks that is completely the opposite of cool. And you would have had a chance to really do something great in Australia, her home country, an underdog story, get a win, really create a moment. And to some level, I understand you don't want to stack wins, but in terms of like title changes for the women, because Toni Storm was going to win the women's title, which is another separate issue of why this show was kind of a massive fail and really failed the massive tests for AEW and just how bad of an experiment this was. And yet they're still going to go back and try and do it again. But yeah, it's just like, I don't understand why you couldn't have just given Harley the win, and then you could figure out what you want to do after and just maybe do a rematch and then maybe set up a story out of that. But Mercedes winning here doesn't do anything. She just wins again. And you hear the Hulk Hogan comparisons, like, that doesn't work for me, brother, or in this case, that doesn't work for me, sister. It's dumb. And that was a real opportunity. That's a big miss. And I'm not surprised, because this is the way this company is operated. When it comes to creating new stars, they haven't been able to do it. And it's really, struck a chord. Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay win their matches. Kenny Omega is going to get an international title match against Takeshita. Shocker. We've seen that match before. I don't know why Kenny went back to the Callis family after he teased something with Kazuchika Okada, who's literally been nowhere. He was on this show. He in a nothing match against an Australian and Buddy Matthews. Cool. But yeah, so, and then the Death Riders win. Whatever. Like, it's just, and then the biggest offense of all, and why I really don't give a shit. If you guys watched my video and were disappointed with Mariah May, I posted something earlier spoiling that, Toni Storm has won back the women's world title. Dude, I could have even told you the minute that Toni Storm came back that she was going to beat Mariah May in Australia. That was always where this was going. So if you're mad at me for spoiling that for you on a 21 and a half hour delay while you're waiting to watch this show, blame AEW for completely failing one of their biggest stars in Toni Storm. They sent Toni Storm over there to promote this thing, if you remember last year. And then while she was gone, selling off her injuries and stuff, and getting a chance to heal up and give Mariah May a chance to run with the title, which ended up being a terrible title reign. They completely failed in terms of trying to get a stadium, because they literally were like, oh, we saw another Australian, Rhea Ripley, who is absolutely comparable to Toni Storm, but is in a much better company with much better marketing and much better people running their creative. Rhea Ripley was just in a stadium, and it was in the main event of her show. So, hey, let's try and do that in Australia for AEW, leaving out the fact that there is no interest, or at least limited interest, in AEW in Australia. So they try to do it in a tennis stadium. It doesn't work. They go down to an event center of 10,000 people. It looked pretty solid. And it's just like, if I'm Toni Storm, and I know she's going to be a model citizen because she's just wonderful. And she's just a great professional wrestler, great talent. But if I'm Toni Storm, I'm pissed the fuck off. My big title win and coming back in my home country is on almost a day of delay, and was supposed to be a pay-per-view, and then it ends up being like, an event on TNT, a glorified Collision, yet my boss is selling to the media as, oh, this was always the plan. No, it wasn't. Why the hell are you sending Toni Storm over there to promote a big-time event, your first thing in Australia? Why are you going over there to promote it in a tennis stadium, effectively copying WWE? Why are you doing that? And then automatically it just becomes this event, this, TV event that you get exposed immediately that, hey, it's on the same day as the All-Star game and you're starting to air it. And people pick up on that, and you're billed as a fraud. So you may not hear it publicly, but this was a massive failure. Like, AEW failed a massive test in terms of what they were going to do booking wise and how they handled the just the nature of this event. So if you're mad that spoilers are coming across the internet for what was supposed to be a pay-per-view show that turned into a glorified collision that now is airing on almost a full day delay because AEW could not figure their shit out about how to get this streamed live, and then it's conveniently the same day as the NBA All-Star game, the last year that TBS or TNT is carrying the NBA, and you want me to feel sorry for you? Blame AEW. Blame the people that you worship for failing you in terms of how this was handled. Yes, it's nice that they got 10,000 people and had a loud, rowdy crowd in Brisbane, but so many things about this event could have been handled so much better. So a big failure on AEW's part. Anyway, I'll have a little bit more in terms of WWE content. It seems like a lot of AEW stuff has popped up recently. Hopefully we're going to have more sports content. It's really slowed down in the sporting world since the Super Bowl, but we'll have a lot more coming here on the channel. Thanks to everybody who subscribed. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.